Good morning, ladies. I hope you're doing amazing. I hope you are enjoying. Today is our dare number 7. So we've been doing this um, already for a week, and I know that I have heard from some of you, and I would love to hear from all of you. I would love for you to email me. If you have my number, just send me a message, and share with me, how are you doing? How are you feeling? What are the things what are the things that have really touched you? What were the dares that were more challenging for you? How are you feeling with all of it? Okay, I would love to hear that from you. We complete our first week today, and I know that from the ones of you that I have heard, I know that it has been a blessing, and I know that some of it has been a little bit challenging. So I know that some of you are not doing one dare a day, but you did take my advice of taking it on your own pace and really allowing God to speak to you, which that's the most important. I never want it to be like something that we check mark as done, without allowing God to transform our hearts. The main thing of this is really allowing God to transform our hearts and allowing Him to heal the parts of our hearts that were still broken, and perhaps we didn't even know, and really to just bring us to the next level of growth when it comes to us as wives and in our marriage. We've talked about this before, and we say that our husbands are the ones that have the most access to our hearts, right? And because of that, it is the one relationship that challenges us the most, right? So, anyways, we are here on the Respect Dare 40 days to a deeper connection with God and your husband. And we are on dare number 7, if you can't say something nice. So, this reminds me of my dad growing up. Ever since I think I was born, I can hear his words: if you can't say something nice, don't say anything at all. And I I've always had this in mind, um, growing up and really in my life, and does it always work that way, that if it's not nice, I don't say it at all? No, absolutely not. I wish it did, right? But every time I say something that's not nice, I hear his words echoing in the back of my mind, and I know right away that I'm saying something that's not nice, right? And I think I've taught this to my girls as well. Like, our words have weight, right? The words that we speak have weight as soon as they come out of our mouth. And I think that I have not always been very careful in weighting them before I let them come out. But I think that that's a work in progress for me always. Um, but anyways, in this there, she starts with Ephesians 4:29. Do not let any unwholesome talk come out of your mouth, but only what is helpful for building others up according to their needs, that it may benefit those who listen. So, pretty much what she's saying is, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all, right? And then she goes on sharing about two of her friends, right? She has these two friends, and they get together for coffee, and these two women are bashing their husbands, and the way that she says it is that she would join it before, right? This woman that she's talking about, she would join it before the conversation and the bashing. And for the first time, this one time that she meets with them, she realizes that what was happening, and she didn't pitch in the conversation. And they were bashing their husbands in a very not nice way, unnecessary. like it's like, oh, it's so embarrassing how he gets up on his boxer, and then they start talking about the other neighbor who looks good, that they wish they would come out in the boxers and things like that, you know. And she says that she found her attitude turning negative after spending time with his friends, right? And she decided that she could not have intimate female friendships with women who criticized their husbands, and for that matter were critical of everything else. So I thought this was so profound. And it says Denise committed to a respectful communication whether her husband is present or not. And my question to us is, are we committed to respectful communication whether our husbands are present or not? You know, I think that a lot of times we get this mixed up with speaking lies or hyping up our husbands to each other when it's not true, you know. And one thing is nothing to do with the other, you know. It does not mean that we cannot have that one friend that we're intimate with and that we share our hearts with, and that we will share when we are going through issues, right? That's not what it means, because we can, you know. It's healthy for us to have a friend who we can count on, and when we're going through trouble in our marriage, we can speak to that person, you know. But I think that what makes that difference is what is the focus of that conversation, you know, because it's very obvious that the focus on this conversation that's happening here is the husband, and it's negative, you know. But when we are sharing with a friend our hearts and being vulnerable and really sharing the troubles that we're going through in our marriage, we are not bashing our husbands. We are sharing our feelings. You see what the difference is? Because our feelings are our responsibility, right? So yes, it might be trouble that we're going through in our marriage, but what we are sharing with a friend is our feelings. We are sharing our part of it. We are sharing what we can do better. We're opening up our hearts for insight from that friend that we trust and love, of how can I improve in this area of my marriage. Does that make sense? Rather than, you know, just bashing the husband. You see, the focus when we share our issues should be us, not the husband, right? And even if the husband comes up, because yes, the trouble that we're going through is in the marriage, the focus is not him. The focus is us and our feelings, because that is what we have control of, right? So I thought that was an important difference for us to understand, you know, because a lot of times then we go to the other extreme, and it's like we're suffering all by ourselves and we can't share it with anybody else, because then we're bashing our husbands. No, you know, that's not it. It's what is the focus of the conversation? What is the focus of our hearts? What is the intention of our hearts behind that conversation? Does that make sense? So when it says, so what about you, she has, you know, the normal 5 questions that she usually does for us to answer about our own marriage. And I think it's interesting, on question number 3, she suggests that we ask our husbands, right, if they ever feel diminished by the way that we communicate with him. And then at the end of that question, she says, or if you choose to stay blind in this area, please explain. I think that's very confrontational to us, right? Because staying blind is a choice, right? If we are choosing to stay blind, then that's our choice, and that's okay, you know. But we must understand that we are choosing to stay blind in this area for now, until we're brave enough to ask, until we're brave enough to have this communication with him, or whatever the case might be, you know. However, we're not victims, you know. And I think that that's what's important in regards to this particular question and the way she puts it. We're not victims. You know, if we are blind in one area of our lives, it's because we are choosing to stay blind, right? It's a choice, right? And it's okay. You know, perhaps we don't feel ready yet to go there, and that's fine. But we need to understand that is our choice. It's my choice to stay blind in this area because right now I'm dealing with a lot and I cannot deal with this. Like if he tells me one more thing, I'm gonna explode. So and that's fine. But what is it? How is it that we're looking at it? It makes a difference, right? Because if we are looking at it from a victim perspective, then that's how we're going to act. And most likely, if we are looking at it from a victim perspective, we will bash our husbands at some point in time, right? Because that's what victims do. They find the villain and they bash the villain, and then they look for the hero to save them from that dynamic, right? And that creates codependency with other people and unhealthy friendships and unhealthy relationships overall, especially with our husbands. So I thought that was a very a much deeper there than what it appears to be, and I really encourage I really encourage you girls to dig deep with Jesus, with the Holy Spirit in this there, and understand, do we have relationships in our lives that that are influencing us in a negative way when it comes to our marriage, because we don't need that. Our marriage, our husbands is our number one priority when it comes to human relationships. That is our number one yes when it comes to human relationships, and we have to protect that yes at any cost. So if there are other relationships that are influencing it in a negative way, we need to be aware of it, and we need to do something about it. So anyways, that's it for today. I love you all. I'll see you tomorrow for dare number 8.